Yep. Yeah, so that's why. That's the guy. But they can't even get a real, yeah.
I know. I picked it up like this is disappointingly light. I should get a beer can. It's got more mass than this. It's like you gotta.
Maya, we good to go?
It's all in the technique. You need a good follow through.
Excellent.
You gotta like.
Good evening, everyone. Our apologies for the unusual start. We were all downstairs waiting for you. This is the February 19th meeting of the Warren Zoning Board of Review. I am the Vice Chair, Jason Rainone. Regrettably, our Chairman, Andrew Ellis, had a death in the family, so the board extends its condolences to him. I will be acting as your MC for the evening. To my right is Jason Nystrom, Michael Alves, and Chuck Thibodeau. We are on a skeleton crew this evening, but we do have an official quorum and we can act on everything on the agenda. In the interest of doing so, let's begin with the approval of the minutes from our January meeting. Is there any discussion or a motion on the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Is there a second? I'll take that as a second.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion to approve the minutes is all set. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will begin with our agenda of new business as there is no old business. As the applications are called, we will ask that the applicant come forward to the podium. Please begin by giving us your name and current address. We will ask the applicant to explain a little bit about why they are here. We will answer any questions from the board. We will then turn it over to the public to see if there is any public comment on the application at hand. We do ask that you keep your public comments to the application at hand and to not reiterate previous comments except to say, I agree with everything that's been said before or what have you. We will then bring it back to the applicant for any final comments or information that needs to be filled in, questions from the board, and we will move forward with the actions or decisions of the board from there. We will begin with application 25-6, Sean and Amy Coelho, owner and applicant, 66 King Street, plat map 14, lot 29. Request for a dimensional variance to construct a front porch with less than the required front yard setback in an R10 zoning district.
Good evening, Sean Coelho, my wife Amy's home with our children, 66 King Street. That's our current residence. That's also the property we're looking to build a front porch.
Very good. Tell us a little bit about what you want to do.
We'd like to put on a front porch, improve the curb appeal, have somewhere to drink a coffee in the morning. Also try to get our house to fit a little bit better in the neighborhood. I'm not sure if you're familiar with our neighborhood, but on our block on King Street between Solms Avenue and Avenue A, there's 12 houses. 10 of them have front porches. One doesn't, besides our house. So I don't know if you need any more detailed info than that. But
Can you tell us a little bit about the dimensions of the porch itself?
Yep.
And can you speak to why the sizing of the porch is the way it is that's shown on?
Yep, so it's going to project off the front of the existing house 6 feet. I think it's 6 foot 1 inch. It's approximately 26 feet long. The entire house is about 42 feet long. So it'll be about 2/3 left to right on the frontage. It's the front of the porch to the sidewalk. I believe that is where the variance is needed. 6 feet was in the design phase about the minimum where we could kind of get some chairs and sit out there. So we weren't able to narrow it up to meet within the requirement. So we pretty much made it as shallow off the front of the house as we could, so we could just put a couple chairs out there and sit if we'd like.
Makes sense. Any questions from the board?
Who's working on the dimensional stuff? Should we go question by question?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
You want me to just see?
Just so we're clear, do we know the front yard setbacks?
That's what I am double checking now. I believe front yard was 15 feet.
Would be 14 feet to the edge of the stone wall, which is the beginning of the sidewalk, the property side of the sidewalk.
And again, is that 14 feet up then to where the front of the porch will start, or is that to the current face of the house?
That's to the, where the front porch will start.
Okay,
Basically 20 feet from the wall to the face of the house now.
so you are asking then for relief for 1 foot.
That's correct.
11 feet, actually.
Is it? I thought it was 15.
Yeah, R10 single family is 25-foot front yard depth,
So 11 feet.
11 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, and most of those houses on that street are not.
So, well, that was the, and I probably didn't speak clearly in my intro, but every house that I reference on the street is well within that 25 foot. Most of them are actually almost right up on the curb or within 10 feet of the curb.
Mhm.
So it certainly fits right in the character of the neighborhood, I would say.
Yeah, and I will say I'm familiar with the neighborhood. I believe your house is one of the few that really doesn't have much of a, I'm gonna call it a feature in the front. It's just
Right.
kind of very flat.
Plain? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you currently have a, based on the plans you provided, it looks like a little, covered, I don't say gabled entryway, but a little
It's like a
covered
little
area.
portico. Yeah, just a little covering over the front door, which that'll kind of go away and become the porch. The porch actually will not stick out much further than that portico that's there now.
And again, as you're, if you're standing on King Street, looking at your house, the porch is gonna be towards the right side of the house, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So I don't think we need a side yard based on where the layout is.
It does not seem.
That's just fun.
Yeah, then, yeah, we're I think almost, we'll be just about 17 feet to the property line from the edge of the porch on the house side.
And that isn't a new house. The house was, that was a ranch house that was modified.
Correct. Yeah, we
Kinda
didn't,
Stuck with what he's got.
right. We never changed the footprint. We did put a second floor about 10 years ago, but we didn't go out with that. We kept the original foundation and the first floor walls and went up.
Has there been any calculation to see whether or not it's gonna exceed the maximum lot coverage, 20%?
Not that I'm aware of now.
Yeah, it's a big yard. I just wanted to ask and put it.
Yeah,
on.
no, I know.
This is not a substandard lot, correct? So there's no
It's a big
setback
lot.
reductions or anything like that?
You're not gonna, I don't think we have trouble with that. coverage.
Yeah.
It's over, it's not 10.
Okay. Good, good. All right, any other questions from the board? Great, if you can have a seat real quick, we're
Sure.
just gonna go to the public portion. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on this application? Hearing none, don't get comfortable. Come on back. Is there any additional information you feel the board needs to know in reviewing your application? Any other information you want to provide?
No, I think pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Think that's about it.
Is there any other questions from the board? Is someone prepared with a motion from the board?
Take it. I'd like to make a recommendation that we accept the application. 25-06. Sean and Amy Colello, owner and applicant, 66 King Street, plat map 14, lot 26. Request for a dimensional variance to construct a front porch with less than the required front yard setback in an R10 zoning district. I'd like to say we accept this application. It will not create a hardship due to the unique characteristic of the subject land or structure. We're only asking for 11, and it seems like 11 feet is roughly the same design of that particular neighborhood with other surrounding houses. And it seems like it would definitely conform with that. It does not create a hardship is that the result of a prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily for the desire to realize greater financial gain. It basically just, will create a synergy for the house and a synergy for the neighborhood. There's the applicant, stated that there's, 11 houses and, 12 houses and.
Full houses. and-
10 of them that have porches and him and only one other don't have that design. So it's gonna, create synergy for the neighborhood again. And that we, in granting the variance, will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area and request conform with the purpose and intent of the Warren zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan. And the relief requested is the least amount, again, stating that the surrounding houses in the area seem to be in that kind of area where all the other houses are kind of in that same kind of non-conforming situation. And also for the applicant to be able to, enjoy his residence better, have a little more sitting room in the front, out of the rain or snow or whatever. And just have a better aesthetic to the outside of his dwelling. I recommend that we recommend it. For a dimensional variance is not a hardship more than a mere inconvenience. Everybody has a right to enjoy, a nice front porch. And again, it kind of conforms to the neighborhood, so. Without that, I think that the house will just conform with the surrounding area.
Very good. There's a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Moving on, application 25-07, Brian and Michelle Cotti, owner and applicant, 14 Shore Drive, plat map 17, lot 148. Request for a special use permit to construct a second floor addition with less than the required side yard setback on a legal non-conforming lot in an R40 zoning district. If I may clarify with the building official and the solicitor really quickly, should this be listed as a variance? Since we're talking about side yard setbacks?
Not the side yard already existing. This is. Where are we?
I think the question is should this really be a special use permit or something else?
Or should this be a variance?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Acting Chair, I don't believe that a special use permit is required to construct a second level. Therefore, the default would be the variance if we talk about dimensional relief. there.
So we should be treating this as variance.
Correct. I'll do some research while the application goes on, but that's my immediate answer.
Very good. So let the record show we'll be treating this as a variance application.
Do you need a motion to have that or no?
Yeah, why don't we clean that up? I will accept a motion to amend this application to be a request for a variance rather than a special use.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Please.
Hi, I'm Brian Cody. This is my wife, Michelle. We currently live at 3 Robert Street in Greenville. We've been there for 27 years.
Okay.
But we grew up in Warren, so we're moving home.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your project? What are you planning on doing?
Okay, so we purchased a small 760 square foot cottage on Shore Drive.
Mhm.
So we're looking to put a second story addition on that with a stairway in the back. And it's pretty much within the footprint of the existing house with the exception of the stairway, which is in the back. And that's a 10 by 14 foot area. The addition upstairs is 20 by 28 feet. Pretty modest addition. It's still gonna be a small house. It is currently and it will be. But we're just trying to get more living space. We currently have a house that's 2,400 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. We're downsizing. We wanted to get something close to water, which is what this is. So,
Makes sense.
yeah.
The change to the overall square footage of the house will not affect the existing septic system in any way?
No, it's gonna stay a two-bedroom house with 2 baths. It would increase 1 bathroom, but it's
Gotcha.
the bedrooms that count. As far as
So there, at least at present, is no need to go before DEM or anything along
No,
those
in
lines?
fact, I even talked to DEM about it already, and it's all set.
Any questions from the board?
So really, we're just looking,
And dimensions.
yeah, really, I think we just need to clarify that, so, yeah. All right, so we've got the substandard lot zoning calculator, because this is a substandard lot, everything's kind of shrunk down, but I think we need to memorialize. Because it's just the dimensions right now. So just so we're clear, you are not changing the footprint of the house, you're just making it taller, right?
That's correct, with the exception of the stairway in the rear of the house.
And that's where the pad is, right? The stairway pad is.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
I was not correct in my initial gut reaction to this. It's actually, it is a special use permit under section 32-76-A. It reads, a building or structure non-conforming as to side yard regulations shall not be added to or enlarged in any manner except for roof dormers, which shall not project beyond existing building alignment unless such addition or enlargement conforms to all regulations of the district which is located, or a special use permit is granted by the zoning board. So we're really not looking at the dimensional aspects of this application. And I would apply the special use standards to this application due to the nonconformity of the lot.
All right, so
Okay.
just so we're clear, dimensions then don't matter, we're not concerned.
Correct.
All right,
Yep.
well, that makes things easier.
Okay.
We were confused about that too.
like, wow.
Applications.
All right, I retract my, well, hey.
No, let me, can I, so basically because it's already non-conforming and we're going up, we have to do a special.
Correct. It's an exception to the general law, general law that we have.
Okay.
All right, so I'll make a motion to the solicitor's suggestion that we revert it back to the special use permit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Love it when we can go both ways. Okay, that makes sense. Can you speak a little bit to the nature of the other structures around you? Would having your home be taller than other structures around you be in some way detrimental?
Sure, yeah, no, I mean, a lot of the homes have second stories on them across the street from us have this, and the setback on one side was short, and then, of course, there's not much we can do about that. That's the way the initial cottage was built. And then we've talked to the neighbors, most of them seem pretty excited about, what we're gonna be doing. I think it's gonna enhance the neighborhood,
Mhm.
quite honestly, when you look at what we're gonna be doing, it's a modest addition, but it's gonna look nice.
Yeah, they seemed excited about it.
Makes sense. Can you speak a little bit to what the use for the second floor would be? Is that bedrooms? Is it
Yeah,
office
it's
space?
one bedroom, one master bedroom for myself and my wife, and then another bathroom, and then a closet and laundry room.
We'll put the laundry upstairs.
Over half of it is the bedroom.
And so currently it's just a single story, you said, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How many,
Tiny.
I believe it.
Yeah,
Square footage wise, what is it currently?
currently 760 square feet.
Gotcha.
And with the addition, it'll be, roughly about 1,300, something like that.
Okay.
Still tiny.
It's our retirement home.
Yeah.
That's what we plan on.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Nope.
All right. If you all could have a seat in the front row, we'll
Sure.
just take this to public comment. If there is anyone in the public that would like to speak or comment on this application, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Come on back.
Let's get up and down.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Kidding.
So are there any other questions, comments from the board? Any other information that we think we need?
Yeah, I think if septic isn't being changed, if, so there's no DEM or CRMC issues.
I'm good.
We start a motion?
Let's do it.
I'll make a motion to approve application 2507 for special use permit at 14 Shore Drive, tax plat 17, lot 148, to add a second story addition on a non-conforming lot. Go through this. The special use, it will be compatible with the other houses in the neighborhood because the other houses have second floors currently. The special use will not create a hazard. The addition of a second floor will not impact the neighborhood due to the fact that it's well within the heights. I think our maximum height is 35 feet, and I believe they're going to, what did they say, 28?
28.
28.
Yeah.
It's compatible with the community plan. It's basically just the same amount of bedrooms. We're not expanding it anymore, and it's just gonna be a full-time home. Public and convenience, well served. You guys got any ideas there?
Ultimately, it's always good for a new family to be welcomed, in this case, back to Warren.
I assume the tax appraised value is gonna go up, so that's good. Yeah.
Great.
Not enough. Yeah.
Very good. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Welcome back.
opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Not my fault what happens out in Cowesett with my kids.
I love your kid. You don't get any better than that.
All righty.
That's why we live on Main Street.
Moving on to item number 3, application 25-08, Jesse James, owner and applicant, 42 Sachem Street, plat map 13C, lot 21. Request for a variance to construct an accessory structure, a 2-car garage, in the front yard in an R10 zoning district. Good evening.
Good evening, Jesse James, 42 Sachem Street.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what you would like to do?
Pretty simple, straightforward, 2-car garage, big enough for storage and a little workshop in the back of it. The issue is it technically is supposed to go in the side or backyard, but we have kind of a strange lot. We're set back 70 feet from the main road. And aesthetically, the best place for it is in the front yard, just at the edge of the house. It keeps the driveway and the parking area the same. There'd be no change to the existing driveway parking area by putting it there. If we put it on the side of the house, I think 1, aesthetically, it doesn't work, and 2, it would turn the whole front yard into a driveway parking situation, which I think, really ruins the property.
Makes sense. And will this be a stick-built garage? Is this
Yeah.
a prefab structure?
Nope, stick built.
Are you building it yourself? Do you have a contractor?
I have a contractor.
And the total height of the structure will not exceed 20 feet?
No,
Is this just gonna be for personal use? I know you said there's a workshop. Is that just for like you to putter around in, or you?
yeah, it's not a business.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll grow in the basement.
I assume considering part of it is intended to be a workshop, it will be an electrified structure. Is it intended to be heated or insulated?
In the beginning, no, there's no heat planned for it or insulation, just electrical, no plumbing.
And you had mentioned that the location of it is relative to the existing driveway.
Right.
So essentially, it's the location of the existing driveway is what's sort of gearing the chosen location of it right now.
Both that, I mean, that's primarily because where the cars are parked now is exactly where the garage will go. So you come in the driveway, you turn to the left. That's an existing gravel driveway parking area, and the garage is going to go right where we park the cars now.
So the driveway, I know you said it's paved, is it gravel or is it like?
Gravel.
Okay.
Just this is kind of unique the way it goes in behind this house. Is there any kind of greenery?
There's arborvitaes all along that stone
back?
wall, all around down the driveway and
Along the back here?
right between 21 and 22.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how high are they roughly?
The driveway ones are mature. They're good, at least 12 feet, I'd say. The ones between the two properties are 3 years old, so they're in like the 6-7 foot range right now.
So they will eventually get up to the same point?
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you planning on dealing with rainwater runoff?
Gutters and a dry well.
Okay. Just because looking at it, I understand what you're saying about aesthetics in the existing driveway, but this is putting a structure significantly closer to your neighbor at 22. Is rain going to be directed in any particular? I know you said there's dry well, but is it going to be directed in any particular area or way?
Well, there's a number of choices. I'd prefer to go towards the stone wall, towards the away from the house. But the drywall can go anywhere, really. That doesn't really matter.
Yeah, just because it is a little closer and you were asking, for variance for that area, it's putting it closer. I'm just a little concerned about it just having I guess not a huge structure, but increased rainwater being funneled.
What's the topography of the land there? Are you running towards Sachem or are you running towards the water?
Towards the water. So basically it's running slightly away from Sachem and then definitely down towards the water.
So he's going to be able to run up.
Yeah, it should be going back.
Yeah. So that should be run up, should be okay. With the topography that's there.
If we were to approve the structure as designed, would you be amenable to having the drive well and agreeing to have all water directed away from Sachem Street from the structure?
Sure.
Is that something you could do?
Sure. So what you're saying is you prefer to be on the other side.
Yeah, just try to minimize any risk of it kind of coming back at your neighbor at 22.
Yeah, that's not a problem. It's going to be hidden anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Just, again, aesthetically, I'd rather have the downspouts on the other side, but it really doesn't matter.
I guess my other question, just from sort of a general intent of the zoning code standpoint, if we, setting aside the fact that you actually have a 70-foot long driveway, sort of the main mass of the lot, this being the front yard, if it were a home to be built and this was just sort of a rectilinear lot of property, the normal front yard setback would be 25 feet. If you were asked to move this so that the distance between the lot line between the new garage and 22 were 25 feet, would that be something that would be acceptable under the circumstances? So it would be 25 feet from the lot line with 22, shrinking the distance to the main structure down to 20 feet.
It's not ideal. One problem with the map here is it's not precisely what the surveyor map survey shows. So the garage is actually going to be overlapping the house, not strictly at the corner of the house of my house.
Okay.
So if you move it closer to it, it's actually going to block the light from the windows.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I guess one of the concerns we have is it appears just based on the size of your lot and where your primary structure is, there does appear to be plenty of other places you could put this garage and just build it as a matter of right. The fact you're asking for permission to not put it in there, that's why we're getting into some of these other questions.
Sure. And that was my main concern though, as I said, is that if I put it where it technically should go by code, it then creates a much larger driveway to bring it over to that side of the house. If this went along the side of the house, so basically the side yard, and there'd be plenty of setback all the way around it, but then you're creating a much larger driveway and parking area and everything there, which I didn't really want to do. Really
Is
trying
your
to
driveway pavement or impervious
it's gravel.
gravel?
Is it possible to get a little bit farther away from that lot line? 15 feet?
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not saying all the way to 20, I'm just.
no, I think there is some room, another 5 feet or so. I mean, we can definitely do, something like that. And the other thing I should point out, I don't know if this doesn't show it, you probably not aware of this. There used to be another structure here. That was torn. There was another dwelling on this. There were 2 houses on this lot in that location.
The other one, right there.
It was right there, torn down about 10 years ago.
Where was that other structure?
Right where the garage is, just a little bit, another 5 or 10 feet over from where the garage is.
Was it a secondary residence or was it?
There were two dwellings.
Oh,
Yeah,
Do you recall when that came down?
I'm gonna say 10 years ago.
was it taken down due to disrepair or?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you want to call it a straw poll, but I understand what the applicant is asking for, and I understand some of the reasons. One of my concerns is just that it appears that there's a lot of other areas you could put this structure. But I think I might be a little more comfortable with there was agreement to maybe put it back to 20 feet back instead of the 15. I think that gets us closer to where the code's at, and it's just kind of my initial thoughts.
I mean, I don't know if this makes a difference, and didn't really think of this till now, but on the side of the house where, again, would be the other choice, there are septic, we're on town sewer, but there are old septic tanks set back there. And I would imagine would have to be either removed or something to put the garage over it.
So the site work would be more extreme to try.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Next to the house.
So again, facts like these are important to determining where things can or cannot go. Where are these septic tanks?
So there's a line here where the property, the backyard is slightly higher and then it dips down coming towards the house. It's probably 10 or 15 feet back from here is where that line is, and that's where the septic tanks are right. There's 2 caps right here.
So kind of right in the middle of your
Yeah,
parcel.
pretty close, but right in line with the house.
Yeah, so like 15 feet off the house, but kind of, roughly speaking.
In the middle of the yard, in the middle of the property.
That's
right.
what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, that definitely. I could see where that definitely could, limit where you need to go. You're essentially stuck to kind of moving around that on the perimeter. Okay. You said those are no longer in use, right?
No.
Any additional questions before we move to public comment?
Nope.
All right, if I can ask you to have a quick seat. If there is anyone in the public who would like to speak on this matter, please come forward. Good evening. Very good.
I am Dolores Dupress. I'm at 40 Satcham Street, which is property number 22 on your map.
Very good.
So you had asked about the structure that was already there. I have some history if you'd like some history. If
Sure.
you don't
Yeah.
have the history, that's fine too. So I moved in the house in 1991. And this was one lot between this 21 and the 42A, which is closest to the water. And the Fanara family owned it. They took main presence in the plot here that says 165. And then the structure, I would say, was more in line where the 130 is, set back a bit there. It was a trailer type, very small, flat roof, just singular structure unit.
I remember
will-
well, that was my uncle's property.
It was okay, yeah. So it was not close to the house. It was set off. And then that's where a three-person family lived in
Yeah.
at the time.
My brother.
So then when Mama Fernard passed away, they sold the property to Craig Fisher. Then he came in and he did a lot of work to the main structure. He did not want that second structure there, but he kept it there for a while, not knowing what he was going to do with the land. He came to the town and asked that this turned into 3 lots versus 1 lot. They ended up turning it to 2 lots because this is not a driveway, it's a paper road. And it belongs to all the people who are abut to that. Those abrevieties that were spoken about that are 12 feet, those are on my property and they were put in when the house was built in 1987. The line there, 130, there is a brick, not a brick, a stone wall. And then recently, he's just put in the abrevieties and they're growing very nicely. I am concerned with how large this structure is compared to even the size of the current house and how it will be pretty much right in my backyard. I didn't think of drainage part, but that also kind of comes to mind also. When you do look at the size of my lot and you look at the size of that lot and you see how close it's going to come to my lot. So do I say I would like the variance declined? I don't know what I'm supposed to say here.
You want to move up more?
So it states that it can't be perpendicular to the house and I don't see how it can't be. None of this is paved, so it's not like it's already taking a paved driveway and it's just kind of sitting there.
I think he had stated that, you know.
It did, yes. Yeah,
Perpendicular to the house, there's a septic,
right,
that would be, yeah.
right. But that's,
Well, does moving it 20 feet off the property line help? Instead of the 15, he's got it at 15.
right. I would want it at the 25. I have a deck in the back of the house and it just feels like everything is too close.
You don't know if moving it 10 feet is to the end of the driveway or moving it 10 feet is up to the house.
I'm sorry, Doris, I didn't catch your last name. What was it?
I might have not said it, Dupress,
Dubris?
Dupress,
Thanks.
yes.
You said you have arborvitae in your backyard and there's arborvitae growing on the applicant's property as well, right?
Side yard, so
Side,
where
gotcha.
where the paper road goes down
Okay.
to the 2 properties lines. in
So
the
what runs along that 130?
It's the abrevieties that he just planted a couple of
Okay.
years ago. What's that?
Years ago, there was never anything there.
There is a stone wall.
Right, but there was never.
There was nothing there, right, correct. They are just recently.
So the
planted.
arborvitae plantings are to try to avoid you being able to see the structure going in.
Maybe eventually if they
Yeah.
live Some of them have not. And my house is a tall salt box cape, so I see it from my first floor and my second floor.
And it looks like this isn't gonna be in line with your house, so it's not gonna impact your view, right?
Oh, it would definitely impact my view if it goes higher than the house, which it's slated to. The house is currently 15. I think it said 18 to 20 feet, so it's going to go higher. And this scale is definitely off from everything. It's 165 looks like it's farther away than 22. I would say they're closer. And even the way the existing parking is kind of down closer to the house. So I'm not exactly sure where exactly this placement is going to be, but it's definitely going to be closer to my house than it is to their front door.
Ms. Dubus, the grade of the land, we talked about that a little bit before. Do you agree it all kind of slopes as it goes closer to the water, kind of downhill?
100%. I need a berm in my front yard, but we're not here about that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be recommended for a site visit.
I was
because
Yeah.
thinking the same
scales don't
thing.
seem like they're,
Mhm.
architecturally engineered. They just look, they're just kind of written up.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I would agree with Mr. Alves. I think that there are some unique things going on with this piece of land. And I appreciate the applicant explaining some things, but I think more detailed plans would be extremely helpful. But I also think just given where everything is at, I think a site visit might be beneficial. Because again, I'm going back to my earlier thoughts. It appears to me that there are other places that you could do this garage as a matter of right. I mean, but the septic tanks, I appreciate the applicant giving his estimate, but he's asking for a decent sized structure to be put in.
Mhm.
And I'd like to have something a little more concrete, or at least get eyes on the property to, satisfy any questions or concerns I might have.
I agree. We also might want to see if there's anybody else in the audience that.
Yeah.
Ms. Duper, thank you. Is there anything else you have for us?
I think that's it. Thank you.
Very
Appreciate your
good.
time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public to speak on this matter? If not, I will close the public portion. If I can ask the applicant to come back forward.
You do have the survey drawing.
Yes.
When I originally put the application in, Mac Cabral said, this is a little dark, could we get something lighter? And that's when he came up with using the town map. So this is to scale. You have that in your packet.
Gotcha.
It may be to scale, but there's not a lot of measurements. I mean, we've just got,
Well-
it looks like it's a hand-drawn dotted line with the
It's the same, well, okay,
proposed garage is gonna go.
but I don't understand when you say not a lot of measurements, what other,
I'm not seeing any, you're asking for a variance. There's no little, I'm not seeing it on, I'm not seeing a dotted line here. Talking about how far away this is from the property, how far it is from where things are with the house. I don't see where the septic tanks are. Now, I believe me, I'm not saying that it's, without value. I appreciate that it's here. But I think some of the concerns we've got, there are some more specifics that would be beneficial to help us, decide whether or not this is something we could do, or approve. That's why I was suggesting possibly a site visit might be beneficial.
I would tend to agree. I think considering the size of the structure, what I think would help the board the most would be if stakes can be put in to show the corners of the structure where this would sit on the property. And although I know it can be a pain in the ass, if there's a way to stand a 20-foot stick up in the middle of it, even just temporarily,
sure,
so that, we can all get a sense of what are we talking about when we're talking about an 18 to 20-foot tall structure this big on the lot? Are we talking about a view obstruction? Are we talking about something that suddenly makes it feel like you should be moving into your garage because it's the biggest thing on the property. You know, being able to answer a lot of those kinds of questions are often more helpful when it's a site visit. So I think in the interest of that, we are on a skeleton crew.
If we're doing, we have to schedule it now, correct?
We do have to schedule it now, and what concerns me is I know that I am unavailable for March and April. My work has put me out of town. Which means we would need to schedule it for the May meeting.
Oh, we can't. Oh, because we're gonna continue this?
This would have to be continued
Yeah, yeah.
until the site visit can be
And
scheduled.
then the site visit, it has to be, the four of us have to be there. The other board members can be there, but we're the four that need to be there.
Correct.
Well, we can do.
Or we can-
You're out the whole month. You're not just on Wednesday. You're away for the whole 2 months.
Correct. Well, I'm away for the zoning board meetings in March and April.
Oh,
Can we have it? He has to be at the zoning board meeting, right? Is that the issue or just at the site? Okay.
Correct. Unless, I mean, the alternative would be to rehear the case in its entirety, correct?
To do that. Do a site visit and then the case next month, and it's that way we don't have to wait for, he doesn't have to wait for you.
like a
Correct.
preemptive site visit?
Yeah.
You know, why don't we do a,
I mean,
I mean, we gotta do it anyway. Why
Could
should
we
we
do
have
a
a
site
meeting, do
visit
a
with
site
the
visit?
other members, and then if those members are at the meeting, that we can-
I'm sorry?
could we do a site visit with other members that are gonna be at the next meeting? And if we just bring it right out, not forward it, but just do a whole new application, then they can hear it and be at the site visit ahead of time.
So.
The only thing is, he'd
Yeah,
have to,
okay.
he'd have to go through the
Yeah,
process
it's gonna
again.
cost some money.
Yeah,
If the applicant withdraws the application, refiles it, gotta be noticed.
yeah, so you just notice
Procedurally,
it.
that's what we have to do.
No, I
And
understand.
then certainly as part of that, nothing says you can't do a site visit in advance.
I guess one of my questions is there a way for us to make a motion as a board to rehear this application rather than him
No.
continuing it?
That's something the applicant.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's only sort of public has the accurate information, up-to-date information.
Yeah.
It's gotta be done in that manner.
The other issue is if the applicant wants to look at moving the structure, he can, like you mentioned, by right, if he brings it into the side or rear yard, he can withdraw and just build the structure.
Yeah.
And by code, what is the qualification for the side yard? Is it simply that it cannot be overlapping what is considered the front of the house?
It's the front corner of the house from the front corner to the rear is the rear yard, and then the side would be from the front corner to the parallel to the property line. So this is a unique lot because of where it's located. So when Mr. James came to me, I looked at it, and because the numerical side faces Sachem, that's considered the front yard as you look at it.
Gotcha. So backing the structure up by 5 feet to align it with the corner of the house, that would officially put it into the side yard, or it would still technically be in the front yard?
So this is considered a front yard all the way running east to west from the front of parallel with the front of the building.
So how far does it have to be from the front to the?
So essentially, if you put that imaginary line in that box, it just has to be 10 feet off those property lines.
Gotcha.
So I mean, to make it, we can do the site visit and continue, or if the applicant wants to revisit it and see if he wants to move it into an area where he can build it by right.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's the applicant, what we're getting at is due to quorum issues, no matter what happened, if we move forward with anything with this application that's currently in front of us, the four of us need to be at the site visit,
Mhm.
and then business can only be done with the four of us at the same meeting. Our vice chair is, due to his own personal work, is gonna be tied up for the next couple months, so that could kick things to May. The alternative we've mentioned is, if you could withdraw it, if you want to refile, that would require basically doing a redo with all the fees. But that would also give you the option to look at, is there some other way you want to reconfigure this to do it as a matter of right, we don't have to come to us.
Yes, yeah, I mean, I'd rather continue with a site visit, try to figure out if we can do it in the location I have planned.
Mhm.
I think the other option isn't tenable. So that'd be the best way forward is to do the site visit. I'll do the stakes, I'll put a 20-foot pole up, take it from there. And then what you're saying is at that point, I'd have to resubmit basically the same package.
No, we
We can
continue.
continue it,
Correct.
but you continue to May.
Oh, but it'd have to be May then.
Because he's not around and we need four, there's only four of us.
But you were saying, if we do a site visit with the other members, but who goes to the site visit has to be then at that meeting?
So that was us trying to get creative.
Okay.
That's not gonna work. What we were just so we don't have to go, that's just not feasible. If we were kind of spitball. We have two options really in front of us. One is you could ask to withdraw this in its entirety to either refile down the road where there'd be more of us for the board, and it will give you a chance to maybe think about the design if you want to do it, redo it. I believe you said that's not something you're interested in at this point. The other option we've got at this point is we're really only comfortable considering it further if we do a site visit. After we do a site visit, there's not going to be like a decision made at that. It's going to be an opportunity for the board, members of the public to come to your property, look at it, and that's it. The actual vote has to take place at a time when the four of us are all going to be here. That's not going to be able to happen until May due to Mr. Renone's work opportunities.
Okay, so that sounds like what's going to happen then, is that we'll do a site visit, kick this off till May.
Essentially.
Correct.
So
But
it's the
again-
same, so it just stays put, to the site, we add the site visit to
Yep.
this packet.
It stays, this stays pending. You do not need to do renotice. It's just, it's going to take a little bit.
Okay,
And probably do the site visit somewhere in May, right?
I would think we would want to do it sometime in the few days before the May meeting. So why don't we schedule
That'd
that
be better
now?
light too.
Like the May meeting's the 24th.
The May meeting. Yes, it is Wednesday, the 21st. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Really, 24th?
You in a hurry?
Back to the future.
Are you retiring? Skipping kids?
Could we plan on doing it in the hour before the meeting? If we
We could do that.
scheduled it
I'm fine with that.
at 6 o'clock on
Yeah.
that Wednesday?
Bang it all out one night.
Those are really tight. I'm coming from Warwick
Oh.
every day.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Uh,
sorry.
No,
That bridge
that's,
is killing you.
yeah, it really is. Twice a day, every day.
Um,
You couldn't get here.
So
That's tight.
why don't we do this? Because getting to the beginning of that week is a little tight for me.
Okay.
Could we do it the Wednesday before at the zoning meeting time? So we did 7 o'clock on the 14th?
Nope,
Fine with me.
You're out.
no.
Oh.
I mean, it's, all
Oh,
right, so if it's tight, I'm gonna have to, all right. If we do a 6 o'clock on the 21st,
That's not enough time for you, right?
yeah, I'm just gonna have to leave early. It's gonna be tight, but I'll figure out, it's far enough in
It only needs
advance.
to be 10 minutes.
Yeah, I
Should we do 6:30 and then just come straight here?
With 10 minutes on the property, he's got it staked out. We're gonna see what we need to see and we're coming right here.
Yeah.
I can do that, yeah.
Shall we plan on that? We'll plan on 6:30 on the 21st?
Do we think it's still gonna be light out?
Yeah, it's May.
Yeah.
I know, I'm just,
It's
Yeah.
May.
yeah.
Yeah, we should be good there.
We had that problem before, but
Yep.
we're in May this time.
All right, so then we will schedule a site visit on this matter for 6:30 PM on May 21st. And then we will come here for the May zoning meeting. And I would imagine at that point, it will probably be the first thing up in no old business. So should be a relatively quick discussion at that point.
And do we invite the other board members or no?
Oh, sure, they can always stop in.
Have a barbecue.
Yeah. One thing we will need you to do is to request a continuance until the May meeting so that we can schedule and have that site visit. You as the applicant need to request that we.
Oh, just here.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm requesting that we continue it to the May 21st meeting, have a site visit at 6:30 that, the 21st.
Very good.
right, so I'll make a motion that we have a site visit at 6:30 on the 21st, and we move it out to the May meeting.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Great.
So we will
Okay,
see
thank you
you
very much.
6:30 on the 21st. Thank you. Let me get that in my calendar before I forget about it.
I just did that.
Yeah, I know. We
But you really,
in this case, we need to see.
you want to see the divide.
No, I agree.
The house is gonna sit-
6:30 p.m.
Yeah, right. We're not-
All right, very good.
All right, here we go.
Once more with feeling, item number 4 on the agenda, application 25-09, State of Rhode Island owner, Rhode Island Emergency Management applicant, 47 Ridgeway Drive, plat map 15A, lot 276. Request for a special use permit to construct a 120-foot radio tower in the R10 zoning district. Oh, you brought the whole family.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we got the team here today, so thank you for allowing me to come and present. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell us what you want.
I got a short PowerPoint for you, I promise, very short, which gets to the point, and I'll walk you through when you tell me I'm ready to go.
By all means, go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. So my name is Mark Pappas, Pappas, and I'm the Director of Emergency Management for the state of Rhode Island. My address for the agency is 645 New London Avenue, Cranston, Rhode Island. So today I'm here to walk you through what we're proposing for Warren for the Rhode Island State Communications Network, which we call RISCON. RISCON is a first responder emergency communications system, radio system that is used by all the state agencies on your PowerPoint page 2. So we use it, Rhode Island Department of Transportation, Rhode Island State Police, Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, Rhode Island Department of Health, the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority, and others. Also, other users are local fire departments, full-time or part-time, local police departments, mostly full-time, some part-time, local emergency management agencies and emergency management directors, local DPWs, and federal agencies ride the system, United States Coast Guard, FEMA, Rhode Island National Guard, Air National Guard, and others, and other non-governmental organizations who do disaster relief, sheltering, and healthcare services, such as the American Red Cross and all the hospitals. So we're looking to erect a communications tower here in Warren at 47 Ridgeway Drive. We've talked to Rhode Island Department of Transportation, who owns that lot site on that road. And we have gotten an agreement with them to proceed on their property to do this project. So all of that has been in place before we came tonight. So why Warren and why at that site? So the new tower fills in areas with little or no radio coverage for police, fire, EMS, et cetera, and all of those folks who I just mentioned ride the RISCON system. Additional site to enhance communication for the RISCON East Zone, which you're in, is the east part of the state. And we also have space on the tower for local fire department and police department antennas. And if the emergency management wants to put something on there, we have space on there too. Anything that goes on that tower is free of charge to the town of Warren. There's no charge for putting this up. So I'll walk you through a little bit of what the tower is going to look like. The tip of the tower at the very top is a lightning rod at about 130 feet. The RISCON antennas for us to do the system ride at about 120 feet. The town antennas for fire and police and EMA would be 100 to 110 feet. It's a lattice tower of 120 feet. Adjacent to that would be an equipment shelter, which has server racks and whatnot inside. And it's cooled, it's temperature controlled. And next to that would be a 35 kW backup generator in case the power goes out, so the police and fire can still have their communications. So who's going to benefit from this would be, first of all, your police and fire department, Bristol Police and Fire, Barrington Police and Fire, us, DOT, DEM, State Police, RIPTA, and the Coast Guard, to mention a few. So those are the folks who would greatly benefit from the deficit in coverage that we have in this area. So what do we plan to do? This is our bottom line up front. Erect that 120-foot lattice tower, generator, and shelter. Connect the site with fiber, and we plan to add a microwave in the future. It's not a really, when you think microwave, you think big, it's really not that big. We've got folks here that could speak to how big that would be for that future endeavor on the microwave part. Zero cost to the town, and we do not, and underscore this, we do not enter into any agreements with cellular companies. So there would be no cell antennas or equipment on the tower. Specifically, first communication and emergency communications. So I've got a team here with me. I've got Tom Guthline's Deputy Director. Tom is hiding in the back there. He's right there. Danny Vieira is here. He's my communication supervisor. And two folks from Green Mountain, they can introduce themselves, that are going to be erecting the tower if we get the permission to proceed.
From Chapel Engineering.
Please, if you can step up to the mic.
Clement Salick from Chapel Engineering. We
Can-
developed the plans.
Can you speak a little bit to what the construction techniques for a structure this large would be? How much of a footprint does the construction require? What's the impact on adjacent lots?
Once the tower gets designed for the antennas that are being proposed on it, then based upon a geotech, which the geotech's been done, the geotech will then determine the size of the footing, the depth of the footing, the pad. It's usually a pad and pier. A pad gets installed below frost grade. And then for a typical lattice tower, you've got 3 legs that come up from the pad. So you'd have 3 concrete piers that come up, and then once that's backfilled, the tower goes up. Each leg goes up from each of those piers.
So this is a self-supporting tower.
This is the
There's no
self-supporting.
guy wire.
No guy wires, correct.
My name's John Vinham. I'm with Green Mountain Communications. I'm the actual tower contractor who will erect the tower, build it, and construct it. The foundation for this particular site is roughly 30 by 30 on the oversize, but that's below grade. So when we say below grade, it's about 5.5 feet below grade. And the finished product is about 6 feet to the top of the pier. The pier itself only sticks out of the ground about 8 inches. So you only see basically 3 columns, like if you look at a light pole, basically, it's about 8 inches out of grade just to divert water. The impacts to like the surrounding properties is minimal because we're basically, our footprints within the DOT yard, even with the excavation and grades, we've left a buffer on site plans for excavation. And we planned a soil pile to the left of the construction site on the DOT property. There's a few budding trees from the other properties that have some dead branches that we're gonna clean up just so they weren't falling into the compound and the abutters property as long as they're okay with it. So that's one thing. The other thing we plan to do on that particular property is demo the 2 existing building structures that are dilapidated and crumbling on the property. So part of our construction plan is to remove those. One of the existing buildings that's basically used to be an office. It's basically fallen down, but that's going to be removed, and that's right where our shelter is going to sit. So basically it's a level parking lot in there now. We don't plan to change the surface grade, and our compound area will be crushed stone and gravel. And that's basically the finished product. And we're going to have an interior. Right now, the existing site has a perimeter chain link fence. All we're gonna do is put a sub chain link fence in for our communication tower just for security purposes. And that will surround, but we can obviously make changes to that if aesthetically, if butters or something.
So all those buildings on there right now will be taken down, will be just the antenna?
What's that now?
All the buildings that are on that site right now will be taken down.
So
will
the
just the
salt
antenna?
shed is the DOT has planned that stays, and then there's a 30 by 80 existing, like, little 3-bay garage with a third line that's
Yep.
mostly falling down. that's gonna go away. And then the building that is considered their old office, that goes away.
So the only thing that's gonna stay
This
is
whole
the
shed
south,
house.
which is at the furthest away from Medicam Avenue.
So when you pull into that driveway, salt shed is to the right, and I will say that. They still use it in certain areas.
And you said the cover for the foundation is gravel, essentially. It'll be a permeable surface?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gravel, so crushed stone.
Got it. And sinking the slab doesn't cause any infiltration issues or changes to runoff on the property at all?
No.
Question I've got is are there any dimensional variances we need to be looking at? This is crammed up pretty tight in the corner.
Negative. What you're looking at here is something that's regulated by federal regulations. Yes, our zoning does have a role in this, and it's strictly for a special use permit.
Just thought I'd ask. Thanks.
Yeah.
This is just what it's gonna look like. That's like the backup shed. That's the general. That's where the kids like play the fences.
And you had mentioned that there are no cellular contracts associated with this tower. Is there any, I assume this, and I'm literally asking this out of curiosity. There's no ongoing safety concerns as far as the RF frequencies or anything along those lines with these types of towers?
I think signals. So it's not like you're, that shit all, the RF that comes from these antennas is non-ionizing.
Okay.
And versus like, if the simple layman's term, if you got a high, tall broadcast tower that has a TV antenna, those are more equal to your microwave oven. When you hear the term microwave antenna, it's not like your microwave oven.
Mhm.
It's just low EMA power that comes off the transmission of the signal. You literally have to be 3 feet in front of the antenna for it to be effects to you. And I only say that, and I don't, not because I'm in the business, but I've been in the tower business for roughly 30 years. I've been with Green Mountain for 27 of it, and, you know, I have kids. And they're all- But-
And so that, we get that question everywhere we go. We have
I mean,
29 tower sites throughout the state. That is a very common question, so.
Yeah, I mean, our concern is that we just approved to have a children's play right at where that antenna is gonna go. So safety to kids is important. You're gonna
Completely
have,
understand.
you're gonna have a whole playground of children that are gonna be near that antenna.
So is it harmful? The short answer is no.
You had mentioned that this tower fills sort of a communication dead spot in the statewide network.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you tell us where the next neighboring towers are relative to this one?
So we just completed, we just completed Foster, Rhode Island. We're in the works with Richmond to do one there. We did one in North Smithfield. There's nothing over here that,
So, Daniel Vieira, I'm the communication supervisor. So our next closest town will be Portsmouth,
Sure.
East
Yep.
Providence.
Yep.
So this is kind of a dead zone right in the middle between the two towers.
So it really is kind of
So-
equidistant from the next
Right.
neighboring
Yeah,
sites.
it's right in the middle, right where the two sites meet, and the signal drops off right in the middle.
I know the chief came today, Souza from the fire department, and he said, yeah, hey, chief. He can speak to the communications issues that he encounters on a daily basis.
Sure. Why don't we do public comment? If you gentlemen wanted to have a seat, we'll open the public comment. Chief, if you want to kick that off, and we'll get to you in one moment.
Chief Souza, everything they stated is correct. We do use this frequency right now for a Marine task force. And for future uses, having this antenna in town will open up the door for future use for the fire department and police department. The location, nice and high. We have a dead spot down on the Seaview Avenue side of town, very low down on the water side. And having this tower right up on the top of the hill in Warren is going to help our communications immensely.
I know you mentioned you use the frequencies right now for the Marine Task Force. What are some of the other uses in the future you see?
It could become a primary channel for our fire ground operations.
Okay.
Many towns have switched to it already, and we are considering it if this once the signal is improved in the area.
So if this tower was never going to come, if this tower doesn't happen, What are your thoughts on communications right now? Where are there communication lapses or gaps in town right now?
In all the areas, and the current frequency we use is not up to par as this RICECON frequency is. It's definitely is the future of the fire service and the police service on communications.
Okay.
We're currently using a VHF frequency,
Okay.
which has had many restrictions put on by the FCC, if you will, and it's not as user-friendly as it used to be.
Would the use of this tower facilitate communications with neighboring jurisdictions as well?
Certainly, many of our neighboring towns have switched to this 800 or in the process of switching over. So definitely will make interoperability much better.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Chief. Sir, if you could. They just brought him for show.
My name is Mario Pasqua. I own the property of, on the side of the DOT yard, on the south side. So what I'd like to know is the exact location of that tower in regards to the border, the property line. You got a map showing where it's gonna go exactly? Yeah, so where's Medicum Avenue?
Out here.
This is Medicum Avenue? No. This is Ridgeway Drive on this side, isn't it?
Ridgeway is right there.
Ridgeway is here. This is Medicom.
Yep, right. And there's like a business over here or something.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
All right, so that's Medicom. So, yeah, and this is my property.
Okay. that's-
Yeah, so this tower, if it ever fell down, would land right on my house.
How far back is your?
Well, they already broke my swimming pool fence. There's an oak tree right over here that a branch fell off and broke my fence on the swimming pool. And so this tower, if it's 120 feet high, can land on my house easily.
If it fell.
Well, if it fell, I mean, nothing is,
Exactly.
you can't guarantee it's not gonna fall.
No.
Why can't you put it over here?
Out by the street,
Yeah,
the utility poles and stuff here and the way the utilities are. I mean, they could bump this straight ahead a little, but they have to leave the entrance gates here.
yeah.
And they have
Well-
to get their rigs in for the DOT. So the DOT has.
This building here is a fire hazard.
This is going away.
Well, then why can't you put the tower where the building is?
So it'd be closer to your house if I did that.
No, my house is over here. Is this Medicum Avenue?
No, this is. No, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so my house is towards Medicom. My
I
house
have a
is right on
feeling
this
that
corner, right
you
here.
guys are looking at a plan that we don't have access
That's where my
to.
house is.
No, we've got.
No, we don't have that.
Nope, we do not have that plan.
This is.
Gather around.
Telecom here.
The other thing is, that's gonna
Oh,
devalue.
hang on, hang on.
Stand by for a second. You have somebody recording exactly what everybody's saying.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
First at a time.
You need to stand back at the mic.
Yep. Okay. And if I may,
So the-
your house, your property is the property closer to Medicom?
Getting rid of that.
My property goes from Medicom all the way 600 feet back. It goes all the way to the back of the DOT yard.
Back of the DOT yard. So you
Yeah,
own
he's up here.
this property here.
He runs parallel to the school, you know.
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
kid-
parallel to the north.
Yeah.
No,
He stops
south.
here.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So this building here is going away? This is the only one that's staying?
This stays, this,
That goes away.
this goes.
Okay.
Okay,
And then right where the shelter is currently, that goes.
and then there's a garage staying too, right?
I think I think that's just a
All right,
dirt berm or
all right,
like where they load up gravel.
Understood. So if you could please,
Well, I just did that. You told me the other day.
well, yeah,
I know.
I need you to point and your arms aren't that long. Which of these structures to the south of the lot in question is your house?
this is Ridgeway, right?
Correct.
And this is the DOT yard.
Correct.
This is my house, that's my house, this is the greenhouse, and this is my house. 1, 2, 3, they're all mine. And this is mine. And all these greenhouses are mine.
Okay.
So if they put it over here in the corner, they can reach my house. See? I wouldn't mind if they knocked this fire hazard building down, which he said he's gonna do, and put it over here.
More in the middle versus the corner.
Yeah. Like halfway between the salt shed and the southeast corner. Like right over here.
Understood. All right, if you could, please.
Okay.
Let's go back to the podium.
All right.
So I think to sum up, you're really concerned as to what might happen in extreme inclement weather if the tower were to come down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to fall on my house, and neither would you, but
So if there was a catastrophic event, so.
it's also gonna devaluate the property. I mean, you wouldn't want to build a house in front of a tower.
I suppose it depends on how pretty the tower is.
And I thought there was a height limit in the town of Warren anyway. Isn't it 30 feet?
Well, let me ask the solicitor that if I'm understanding what we had spoken about earlier, the variances and setbacks and structure of the tower is not regulated by local ordinance, correct?
Correct, correct. There's exceptions. I mean, you specifically speak about the height. There's exceptions right now ordinance in terms of 30 feet is structures mostly. Flagpoles, antenna, there's other areas that have exceptions. And certainly this is unique by itself because it's federally regulated. Correct, the answer to that is correct. We don't have a variance, or he does not need a variance for the height of structure.
Okay. So unfortunately, we don't really get to say it needs to be shorter.
What's that?
We don't get to say it needs to be shorter.
Oh, well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it does devaluate my property some. As far as I'm concerned, but the farther away they can get it from the southeast corner, the better.
Understood. I guess when we come back to the applicant, we can ask that question.
What's that?
We'll ask that question when they come back to the podium.
Okay, that's it.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Maya's gonna need a copy of that shot, no, not that one, the one that they handed us.
Yeah.
Yes, the new one.
The new one.
Can we keep that set? Can we mark
You
that?
want it for now, or?
No, I think we're good. Can we mark that as Exhibit A just because I don't think it was included in the packet?
I mean, this is what it is. It's just they didn't.
Yeah, it's just
they
a.
covered over them.
Yeah.
With the.
Yeah, it's just a bigger version.
Yeah.
Let's just double check. Is there anyone else in the public to speak on this application? Hearing none, we'll close the public portion, and if I can ask the applicant to come back to the podium.
Yeah, if I might, I think we could speak a little bit about the structure of the tower and how it's built. And also the tolerances for which it could withstand. We've never had a tower go down in all the years we've had them, so I don't know, Danny or.
I got one thing to say about that. So we originally had this drawing, but the tower in the back corner, like he described, we did move it up to the front because of the concern about if it were to fall, which, you know, we have a pretty robust system of not overloading the tower, which keeps it strong. But that's why we put the building in the back, closer to the property line, to move that tower further away from the property line.
And I guess to the abutter's concern, would relocating that tower to sort of the center where the existing building is coming down be a realistic change? Or does that lead to traffic issues on site? Or
Yeah, it does lead to traffic issues just because the way the trucks have to come in there. So now we're putting, that would have to move the whole compound over because the tower can only be so far away from the building with the antenna lines that run across.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, where you're proposing it to be sited, that's the only realistic location this can be put on this parcel. Is that
Correct. Yeah,
correct?
we've tweaked that layout already to kind of maximize, you know, be away from the property line as far as possible. But yeah, if we were to put the tower
In the middle, we'd have to move the building to the middle also, because it has to be so far away from the tower with the antenna lines connecting it. And that would cause a traffic issue with the DOT trucks coming in and out of there during the storms filling up.
Okay. Something came to me as I'm just looking at this map. I'm sorry to ask you earlier. The standby generator, where is that? Where is that?
That
is to
yeah.
the right of the tower, closer to Metacom.
That's
Okay,
closer to the Metacom side, yep.
yeah, so it's basically between the tower and the property line, closer to Metacom, right?
Correct, yep.
And that standby generator, is like one of the ones you, obviously, I assume it's gonna be more powerful than the ones you have at home, but
It's a little bit more powerful, yeah. So usually at home, you're like a 10 kilowatt. This is a 35.
yeah, but like those, they kick on periodically because
Yes,
they do need to
once a
run.
week. And
Is
that's
there,
for now.
is there a way, again, this is a residential area, I don't know how loud
It's
it's
very
gonna be.
quiet. Yeah, they are very quiet.
I have seen some of the residential ones, they can be a little loud, and so I'm
Yes.
just,
Yep.
it's a concern I've got, it's a residential area and we've got the kids' play place, if you book it, you don't want to be listening to a generator running during your booked playtime. I don't know if there's any way to tweak that to like an optimal hour.
So, I mean.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We only run it during the day. Like there's no test period. There's no test period at night. It's for 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour every week. And we can tweak that time to whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just a setting on the timer. And then obviously during outages, it would just run.
Yeah,
For the
that's
outage,
different.
yeah.
It's an emergency is an emergency, I'm just
Correct.
thinking.
Yeah, that's just to keep the police and fire department up.
One thing I had, just aesthetically,
Mhm.
because you've got a house here and you've got houses here, is there any way to put any kind of like a shielding on the ground on your fence?
So the fence
Is
is
that gonna
already
close?
latticed off.
It's
So
got, and it
It's
will
already
be.
latticed off. There's a
Okay.
fence currently that runs around the property line that's been latticed off with green lattice.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right,
We planned on putting a black fence in anyways,
Okay.
so it would be 8 foot high, so it'll be aesthetic.
okay.
So it's gonna be a blacking screened in fence.
I can make it screen that, yeah.
I think that might be ideal to kind of keep it out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I don't think you need it in the front towards the road, but the house here,
No, as much as you can make 130 foot
just to
tower
make,
out of
just
sight.
for the neighbors.
Yeah, I would say probably the east side and so like, right along where, from Ridgeway down to,
We'll just lattice the whole thing. That way it's all just
Okay.
aesthetically
So-
the same.
I don't know if this is even feasible, if this is a ridiculous request, but the generator now, it looks like it's sitting on the edge of the property towards the house.
Mhm.
Can we put it on the other side
So
of your tower?
Yeah, that's
May
fine.
help a little?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
the generator. we
Just
can move
'cause we got a
anywhere on that-
neighbor
in that
there, I'm just-
compound.
Yeah, we're just trying to keep it.
No, I know you gotta keep it in
We
the
looked
area,
at-
I'm just saying if you,
When we were on site, we looked at the butters. That was the best place, but we'll move it.
Yeah, we can
yeah, if
definitely.
it's on the other side of the slab, when it
Yeah.
goes up, the slab will,
Yeah,
right?
right over.
If that's gonna.
I don't know if it'll really help, but
In the picture, our drawings show the slab, the dotted line is the actual slab, that's below grade, just so everybody's on the same page.
Oh, that's.
And just to clarify for the parcels next to us, if there was a catastrophic event with this thing, they generally, in our experiences, collapse upon themselves.
Right,
They very rarely go in a lateral straight direction. I mean, it could, but
right.
most catastrophic events that you research, they all topple upon themselves if it was to happen.
Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry, I was looking at the plan, I was listening half, what is the wind tolerance on something like this? Like, how crazy of a storm would we have to look at to have this thing blow over?
The tower code dictates based on importance factors and other local sort of geographic, if you're on a hill, if you're down midway up the hill, but generally, and I haven't looked it up, but a tower like this would probably be designed for about 127 miles an hour, and that's sort of a factored wind speed. It's not what the meteorology, when you're watching the news and they say on 65-mile-an-hour winds. The wind that the tower codes are designed by they're factored wind, they're not what you call a basic wind, but in any case, to answer your question, 127-ish miles an hour would be my guess. And that's something you could actually look up. There's websites that
And
have that.
our
information.
tower design shows 130 for the actual wind speed. That's
Oh,
all.
does it,
Yeah.
does it have, okay.
And
so-
these are a class 4, class 3 structure designed for public safety. And that's the most stringent classification. So if you do a class 2,
That's a normal
Yeah.
telecommunications, Nextel, you know, all the Verizon,
T-Mobile,
T-Mobile, all that
right,
stuff.
okay.
is
So
Class 2, normal communications would be class 2. This stuff is.
they moved
higher.
it, right? So they basically run in revs, right? So we're at Rev H for the design factors of the tower, which is the most stringent design factor for now. And we're currently at a class 3, class 4 classification for public safety. And we always go with the higher ratings just for safety. So
Okay.
And the tower code actually
dictates
gets
it.
into that and it dictates that emergency communications. If it's national security antennas, in other words, if you have a tower that has 30 antennas on it that are all class 2, but there's one DEA antenna on it, that means the whole tower needs to be designed for a class 3, the higher classification. In this case, obviously, everything on it is of the higher class. So that dictates how the tower is designed.
Okay. I'm gonna ask a silly question. I don't know if it's within our purview or not. Is there any way to make the tower look any prettier? And the only reason I ask, it is a residential area. I understand the current DOT site is not much to look at.
So I can speak on that. So we own towers ourselves, right? We have stealth poles, we have flag poles and tree poles. In this circumstances for their communication style antennas, it is not beneficial or achievable per se, because of the separation that they need for the radio frequencies. So when you're talking a stealth tree pole, that's like a lattice tower, they put branches on it.
Yeah.
In your particular area, it's gonna be more of an eyesore than if it was. The only time you see the carriers when they have, like, if you're in a rural area and they have these stealth poles that are cylinder type, this does not work for our type of radio system because of the radio frequency tolerances and stuff. Especially when Tom mentioned putting a small dish on there to get redundancy for backhaul,
Yeah.
basically. That's another reason why we have to have a lattice type tower to get the separation and get that direct line of sight to our remote sites. So, but that's, and not to get too technical, but that's the radio frequency portion of this, because their antennas for all the different agencies, we have to have height differences. That's why when Tom mentioned the public safety stuff for these guys or the police and stuff would be at 120.
Yeah.
All the DOT and stuff go lower. We get vertical and horizontal separation. So that's, unfortunately, I mean, we make it aesthetically pleasing when you do look at it. I mean, I say that because I'm in it, but it does look good when we're done. It's not gonna be just stuff everywhere. It's just aesthetically, the mounts will be placed in order, so.
Yeah, the more things you put on a tower, the more.
Oh, I know, the more hideous it looks.
What color are they? Just basically the aluminum color or?
It will be the galvanized steel color, yes. And then the antennas nowadays are pretty much sky blue. That's pretty much the standard. So some of the dipoles, if we were to use that particular antenna, they're like the galvanized tower. So when you look at the structure, even the mounts are galvanized color, it all blends in aesthetically. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any additional questions from the board? All right. On the advice of the solicitor, in making this motion, what I think we need to do, because it has been a topic of conversation as far as the location of the tower and its enclosure, I would also like to include the findings of fact for a variance application with regards to why that enclosure is placed in the corner of the lot the way it is. The fact that we've discussed that placement is relative to the swag of cables to the adjoining building, that it would affect the traffic patterns getting in and out of the DOT facility, and the fact that that placement is a function of the existing structures that are staying on the property, and the fact that the sort of long, slender nature of the property and the surrounding structures does sort of dictate that the tower has to be in that corner, and other locations have been ruled out for various reasons. Because it was such a large topic of conversation, I'd like it in the record that we have addressed those issues and that going forward, the placement has been approved by this board, even though it is not actually a variance application. With that being said, does anyone have a motion?
I can give it a shot. Oh, is there anything else they?
Is there anything else you think we need to know?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're looking very like, oh, hey, I'm gonna take it away. All right, I move approval of application number 25-09, State of Rhode Island owner, Rhode Island Emergency Management, applicant, 47 Ridgeway Drive, plat map 15A, lot 276, request for a special use permit to construct a 120-foot radio tower in the R10 zoning district. In approving this application, we find that the special use will be compatible with the neighboring land uses. Again, this is already an industrial, I think this is already a site owned by the state, currently utilized by the Department of Transportation. And again, this is going to be used for a statewide purpose. We find that the special use will not create a hazard in the neighborhood. To the contrary, we find that this part of the comprehensive redevelopment, if you will, of the site will be removing some already hazardous structures by creating a new set of structures and enclosure with this tower. We also find that this tower will be adding a great benefit to the people of Warren as well as the state of Rhode Island at large by increasing our emergency communications capabilities. We find that the special use will be compatible with the community comprehensive plan. Again, this is finding a much more productive use for this averagely to underutilized site for the state, but it's also going to be greatly enhancing our own first responders capabilities, as well as those of state, federal, and other agencies if they need to come to our aid. We find that the public convenience and welfare will be served for those exact same reasons. Although this is a special use permit, this board does acknowledge that there was significant discussion regarding the exact placement of this tower. There was discussion or concerns by one of the abutters, Mr. Pasca, about the proximity to his property. We have inquired with the applicants as to why the proposed location needs to be there. And it was indicated for several reasons that why it must be there. The site will still be utilized by the Rhode Island DOT. And as such, there needs to be ease of access for their vehicles. There had been discussion about possibly moving this fenced-in enclosure for the tower more towards the middle of the rear. And that was made clear that that would not function for several reasons, primarily in that it would impede and obstruct the traffic flow for this property, which it will still be used for that. There has been discussion about why it could not be made closer to Ridgeway Drive. And again, there had been indications and testimony given that there are existing power lines running there that this could not come into contact with. And finally, placement at this current location would result in the best ease of access using existing cable management to tie in with this property. There had been discussion regarding the proposed backup generator, and it was agreed that the backup generator could be moved up from the opposite side where it is currently proposed, and a condition we will make is that it be placed on the opposite side of the tower away from the abutting property, which is parcel 277 west on the west side of the tower.
Was there also a condition about latticing the?
Yes,
Yeah.
8-foot lattice fence.
Yes, there was
Glass
also
lattice fence.
condition that there would be an agreement that the entire interior fenced area will be latticed off with black material to obstruct public view, and it wouldn't, so that it would not be an eyesore. And it had been indicated that the backup generator will be scheduled to run once a week during the day at approximately 10 a.m.
Are there any other conditions or amendments?
And there's not gonna be any extra lighting or anything like that put on the property, right?
No.
Good catch.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it. You can, no, I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you very much. Pass
Thank you.
along our condolences to the chair for his loss.
Certainly will. Thank you.
I don't work in radio, my kids ain't right.
So one quick discussion for the board, just to make it an official administrative matter. I am not able to be here for both the March and April meetings. Hopefully Chairman Ellis will be back by then. Are there any other administrative matters? Nope.
No.
Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We out.
It's the lamest.
It's just so silly.
It's.